Hi and welcome. This week I'm going to be doing an oil change on my Gilera 350 Saturno. Now this is the first oil change I've done on this bike since I bought it, so it'll be a learning experience for me too. I had a little bit of trouble tracking down a filter. I couldn't find a corresponding filter available locally to the numbers that were quoted on the Gilera Owners Group website. But I did manage, by working on the number of the filter that was on this bike, which was a Cooper filter, which I haven't really seen available locally, to this Ryco filter, which is an Australian company, though the filters are still made in Southeast Asia. This is a Z418, and believe it or not, it's also the filter of a Ford Focus. I can't tell you what year though. Now the engine takes around 2.2 litres of oil, and that's a 15 weight 40 is recommended by the factory. The drain is on the left hand side of the engine and the filter is located on the right hand side down here. Now the next thing I'll do is I'll warm up the engine to make it easier to drain the oil. You don't need to get the engine too hot. You really don't want to risk scalding yourself with really hot oil if you have a bit of an accident taking the sun plug out. So you just need to warm up the engine a bit so that the oil would drain quite freely. Let's do that now. Okay, let's take out that drain plug. It requires a 20mm spanner. So just loosen that off, get my draining container and just spin her off. And there you can see the screen that's on that. Actually, there's not a washer on here, there's an O-ring, so that should be fairly simple to replace. And now it's time to remove the oil filter. I'm just using a strap wrench on here, and I've got a container just to catch any loose oil that may come off. And this particular filter is a Cooper WZ418. And I've never really heard of Cooper filters before, but I'm sure some of you probably have. Okay, well the next thing we need to do is clean up around where the sump plug sits to clean off any dirt and debris that may be in there. And then we can refit the pre-filter screen here, which is fitted to the end of the sump plug. Now I fitted a new O-ring to the end here because there was a little bit of weeping. I haven't replaced the O-ring on the other end. I didn't actually have that particular size, but it looks pretty good, so it'll last another service. So we just insert that in carefully, making sure to engage it on the far end. Then we can screw it in carefully by hand. And finish up with a 20mm spanner to tighten up. Now you don't need to over tighten it, but just make it firm. And that's fitted. Okay, so now it's time to refit the oil filter. Just remember to put a little bit of oil on the seal. I've also put a little bit on the thread to help it spin on. You just put this on by hand. Tighten it up and then just tighten it up with a tool. Doesn't have to be overly tight. And that's that done. So it's the oil filter fitted. Next we just need to put in, they recommend putting in 2 litres of oil first, starting the engine, and then just topping it up with that little bit extra. It takes around 2.2 litres, as I said earlier. So next up, we will put in 2 litres of oil. Again, as I said before, it's a 15 weight 40. Before starting the engine, it's best to refit the filler plug so you don't get oil out. I've let the bike sit for a few minutes and you can see the oil level here is just at the minimum, just above the minimum mark. So I'll just add the extra 200 cc's and we should be good to go. And that's it, oil change done. I'll just take the bike for a bit of a test ride now and then recheck the sump plug and the oil filter for tightness and job done. I'll see you next time.